What does success look like for you? This is a question that I've prompted to ask myself because, in my head, it's a very vivid picture of success. In this picture, I've got a penthouse in an oceanfront city like San Francisco. In this penthouse is evidence of a successful life. There are pictures of me in fighter jets, pictures of me and a hot wife, friends doing, the things that friends do, like adventures or crazy parties, an underground parking garage that houses all of my sports cars, a Jeep, a motorcycle, and also a nice bank account that's been used to liberate my friends and family from financial hardship. A nice bank account that also be used to liberate my future bloodline from potential financial hardship. A nice bank account that would allow them to go to any university or travel to any country. You see, I have a strong belief that anyone can accomplish their dreams with proper planning, hard work, and most of all, passion. One day, I was sitting at a beach, and I had an epiphany. This epiphany was necessary because for the last 6 months, I had been plagued with uncertainty and had decided to give up on my life of chasing success. That epiphany was caused by a series of memories. I remembered the exact moment when I decided I wanted to be a Navy pilot. I was in the fifth grade, and we were reading about space that week. My teacher allowed me to check out a book from our in class library that was dedicated solely to space. Within its shell, I read in amazement about how Neil Armstrong, a Navy pilot, had made mankind's first steps on off planet soil. My father being in the Army, my favorite movie being Top Gun, and my love for space meant that I absolutely, positively had to become a Navy pilot. I remember the awesome times that I had when I was enlisted in the Navy, how I learned so much about my favorite aircraft, the F-18 Super Hornet, when I had to perform maintenance on it. I remember that when I was in the Navy, I rented out an oceanfront apartment. It was at the oceanfront of Virginia Beach, where I was neighbors with the best bars and restaurants in town. I drove a 2005 Ford Mustang and a 2004 CBR 600RR. Go Honda. I was a part of a command that frequently visited Key West, Nevada, and California. I always had fun in Key West, and I always wanted to retire in California, so this command was perfect. I remember losing my virginity to the beautiful woman in Spain. I truly was living the good life. I remember why I left the Navy, to attend college in order to pursue my dream of being a naval aviator. Prior to the departure from my commanding officer, Commander Capizzi, had learned that I was leaving because I wanted to be a pilot and a millionaire. The leader in him felt compelled to talk to me about my goals. He said, "Johnson, on your journey, there's going to be some resistance. It'll get hard, but never let anyone get in your way. Don't let anyone discourage you, and don't ever give up. I expect to see you again in the fleet before I retire. That is all." I thought our meeting was very bland, cliche, and just general. I'm sure he told everyone that. It was his job as a leader. Besides, I'd come from a very rough background. A background that I don't feel comfortable with putting on ink of any sort. I had overcome so much, and I had done it with ease. The only thing that scared me was sharks. Ugh. But something happened. I got to college and things were terrible. My grades sucked. My job paid super low. I'd found a girl that I was madly in love with. She didn't feel the same. My Mustang has a leak in the windshield, so when it rains, it gets wet in places that it shouldn't. I bought a Jeep that eventually broke down. I got a DUI that wiped my bank account clean and put me in jeopardy from being able to re enter the Navy. I was no longer living the good life, and I really didn't understand why. I started to give up. I just thought, you know what? Penn State is not the place for me. It's just not a place where I can showcase my talents. I thought about dropping out of school in general. I could just work at a bar in Hawaii and just be at the beach every day. No more tests. No more cell phones. No more conversations with broke family members begging me for money I don't have. No more chasing or trying to get people to like me, trying to please people. No more in trying to be part of a society who don't even like each other. No more East Coast snowstorms. No more fucking deadlines. No, just me, the bar, the ocean, and my GoPro. Why don't I just like swim around and film coral reef and sea turtles? Not a bad plan for a failure. But you see, this epiphany was caused by a conversation. You see, I wasn't at the beach alone that day. After a long night of drinking, running from a girl's hotel, getting separated from my friends, I ended up getting lost and just decided to hang out at the beach. There I met a guy who was just sitting there alone and crying. He was in his late 40s and strangely resembled one of my uncles. Seeing a grown man that looks like a family member just crying, it was really, really awkward. But I decided to investigate. After talking to him, I learned that this guy's life was in shambles. He and his wife had gotten married young, and after 20 years, she broke things off. His mother was dying. And to top the cake, his son absolutely hated him, and he decided to live with the mother after the divorce. My reaction to this guy's sob story was shocking, even to me. My reactions were, who cares if your wife left you? There are literally millions of other women in this country. Yeah, your mom's dying, and instead of being in the hospital with her, you're out here with me, crying. Your son hates you? Assuming that you didn't do anything illegal, physically, emotionally, or psychologically damaging, then your son is just being a brat. I have no sympathy for brats. I'm from a rough city. The only thing I could think of after hearing this guy's complaints was, well, that sucks, man, but what are you gonna do about it? Then I remembered something. I remember that I had forgotten. I'd forgotten why I was doing what it is that I was doing. I forgot what my commander had told me. I wanted to provide for my family and friends. I wanted to serve my country and my adventurous spirit by being a fighter pilot. I wanted to give my children a fighting chance at a bright future. I wanted a business where I could change some people's lives and have employees that say, you know what? The Johnson Company was the best time of my professional life. I realized that my commander's words to me weren't so cliche after all. There will be some resistance. It will get hard, but never let anyone get in your way, and don't let anyone discourage you. Don't give up ever. In my mind at the time, I painted a picture of society, Penn State, the Navy, pretty much everyone, resisting me because I was a no-name minority. I painted the picture of someone purposely blocking my success from behind the scenes, like some sort of boogeyman that just wanted to eat my dreams while I was asleep or something. I painted the picture of giving up as just being a homeless guy with a standard issue duffel bag who just lives near a waterfall. Even though I had overcome so much in life, I realized that I had fallen into the trap of making excuses. I realized that if I'd carried through with this plan of giving up, I wouldn't even make it to be the guy who potentially loses his mom, wife, and son. I realized that although there were legit shady people who'd crossed my path, I was actually more of a liability to my success than they were. It was like when Val Kilmer told Maverick in Top Gun, Mav, the enemy is dangerous, but right now, you're worse than the enemy. I realized that I was my own worst enemy. I realized that I wasn't too far off from my goals, actually. I have a journal dedicated to business ideas. I know how the Navy operates. I've lived the beach life. I've made love to some beautiful women. I drive a sports car. I ride a motorcycle. I have access to a soaring club that teaches you how to fly at the most basic level. Penn State is a beautiful and resourceful place, and there are good people here. I realized that if I failed, it was actually my fault. This realization sat like a rock at the pit of my stomach. It was like a movie. Two guys feeling sorry for themselves, on the verge of giving up, sitting at the same spot, at the same beach, drowning themselves in alcohol and sorrow, crying. Rated PG-13. This epiphany was so surreal, I couldn't help but chuckle a little. I left the man with my bottle of whiskey, some reassuring words, and I went on my way to find my friends. My friend came to my rescue like he's done many times after I'm out lost and drunk. Now that I've snapped out of this trance of feeling sorry for myself and being paralyzed with fear, I've started a slow climb back to the life of chasing success. Now, it'll be some time before I can level out, But I've learned an important lesson that I think anyone can take away from, especially those of you who are out there chasing success. That lesson is this: everyone will experience some turbulence, and at times you'll lose a little altitude, but it doesn't mean you should give up and just nosedive your life into the ground.